Thanks for joining me again as we look back at another great classic film. This is from a great director best known for how badly he treated his actors. It was a film that spent a long time in development and went through several writers' hands before an acceptable script was developed. These problems with story and the way actors were treated made for an unhappy set, and a subsequent film that is also a little troubled, which is both a strength and a weakness. It is Bunny Lake is Missing from 1965. It's based on the 1957 novel of the same name by Miriam Modell under the pen name of Evelyn Piper. Otto Preminger had bought the film rights soon after its publication, but had great difficulty arriving at an acceptable script. The main sticking point was the ending, which Preminger thought lacked credibility. Both Dalton Trumbo and R11 wrote versions which were also unsatisfactory, with the scripts only borrowing the book's premise before going their own way entirely. It was not until Preminger decided to move the story to England and use British writing team of John and Penelope Mortimer that he felt the problems were solved thanks to a radical change in the story's denouement. At the time, the US Film Production Code was slowly being eroded, but remained strong on the topic of abortion, which needed to be not mentioned or condemned at every opportunity. When Anne Lake speaks forthrightly and neutrally about considering an abortion before ultimately choosing to give birth to her daughter Bunny, this was highly controversial. It was the first studio release to use the word abortion since Patent Place in 1957, where Dr. Swain admitted performing one on a victim of incest before showing his shameful regret of having done so. Columbia Pictures wanted Stella Stevens in the role of Anne Lake, but Preminger preferred Carol Lynley, a child model and actress who'd already had close to a decade's experience on stage and screen. She was best known for playing blonde Girls Next Door, Gone Bad, which added an extra dimension to the character. In the same vein, she appeared in the March 1965 edition of Playboy magazine a month after the film was released, enjoying the experience so much she didn't accept any payment. Lynley had worked with Preminger on The Cardinal in 1963, and a lot of her screen scenes were with Laurence Olivier, who had warned Preminger to watch his temper, so she didn't have any problems on set. Keir Dullea had bounced around in TV and some small films, but had sufficiently impressed MGM and Disney, who both offered him a long-term contract which he had declined. Preminger cast him as Stephen Lake, though Noel Coward, who was cast as the lecherous landlord, dismissed his abilities as an actor, saying to him, "Keir Dullea, gone tomorrow." Dullea suffered Preminger's wrath during filming, but the strength of his performance impressed Stanley Kubrick, who cast him as Dave Bowman in 2001: A Space Odyssey in 1968, without the need for an audition. As well as playing brother and sister, Lynley and Dullea shared distant Irish relatives with connections still living in Waterville in County Cork. George C. Scott and Robert Shaw were considered for the role of Superintendent Newhouse before it went to Laurence Olivier. Olivier disliked Preminger intensely, but said that his wife, Jane Plowright, kept him in order by threatening to invite Preminger to stay with them as a house guest. Both Olivier and Coward are excellent in what are essentially minor roles. The film is hard to categorise. It's not a neo-noir, though it is in black and white, and uses the creative camera gliding style that Preminger made famous in films like Laura and Where the Sidewalk Ends. And unlike the British kitchen sink dramas of the period, which were centred on working class neighbourhoods, this film is set in the more affluent areas of northwest London. It makes use of many real locations, such as the Barry Elder Doll Museum in Hammersmith, a number of school buildings in Hampstead, and Cannon Hall, which had belonged to novelist Daphne du Maurier's father, Sir Gerald du Maurier. English rock band The Zombies appear, but do not sing the song that was their biggest hit in America, She's Not There, even though the lyrics, and especially the title, would be a tight fit with the story. This was an early instance of what became the common Hollywood practice of promotional tie-ins with popular musical acts. On its release, as with Psycho, audiences were not admitted after the film had started, a condition noted on the film's poster. The Monthly Film Bulletin wrote that the film opened taking the audience well into the film before revealing just what it's all about, and emphasised Preminger's camera, which thrusted forward, dodged around corners, pushed through crowds, and entered pitch-black rooms before the lights are snapped suddenly on. Andrew Sarris in The Village Voice noted that the film's plot collapses because there is no overriding social interest at stake, but rather an implausibly elaborate caper by a conveniently psychotic character, but still thought the movie was a pleasure to watch from beginning to end. Variety described it as an entertaining, fast-paced exercise in the exploration of a sick mind, with Lynley carrying much of the film on her shoulders. Bosley Crowther of the New York Times noted that the film lacked plain common sense, the kind of simple detective logic that any reasonable, intelligent person would use. The same plot was used for the 2005 film Flight Plan, and a remake of this film was planned during the 2007 and 2009 period, with Reese Witherspoon attached to the project, but was ultimately shelved. Lots of good reasons to watch this film. It is beautifully shot in black and white, with some scenes, such as those in the Doll Museum, being incredibly visually rich. The central performances of Lynley and Dullea are engaging and well supported by screen legends Coward and Olivier. It keeps you guessing, holding the tension incredibly well until the last few minutes when it descends into a ridiculous ending. This doesn't destroy the film as a spectacle, but is a lament for how much better this film could have been. So, what I suggest you do is that you go to our website, find our virtual screenings page, find the link to this particular film, click on it and watch it. Would love to hear what you think about the film. So as always, we'll invite you back. Let us know your thoughts about the film and whether you'd recommend it for others as well. And then we're back in the not too distant future for our next classic films review. Catch you next time.